Well, nothing's going right in this country right now. And of course, right now is the time where we're going to discuss something else which is actually not going right at all. And it is Britain's broken borders. I'm time to speak to Stephen Wolfe, Director at the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity. Stephen, very good morning to you.
Very good morning, Mike.
I mean, two big stories this morning for me. The spiralling cost of housing foreign-born tenants, which is on the front page of the Daily Telegraph. The Sun has also got a spread saying that, inside Rachel Reeves' £113 billion splurge, only about 680 million is going to be spent to protect our borders. Surely that's the biggest thing that she should be spending money on, isn't it?
It should be. Look, we're looking in the United States. You've just covered a story about the riots that are occurring in Los Angeles, and all that is happening because Donald Trump has succeeded in closing the borders down between Mexico. It's gone from producing 300,000 a month crossing on that border, and he's put a lot of money into it. And as a result, there's no border crisis. And now he's able to concentrate on the next thing, which is getting rid of illegal people from their country. And they're not, the left don't like it, the Democrats don't like it. And here we have the equivalent of a Democrat in Rachel Reeves, watching the fact that we've had 162,000 people cross our borders since the year 2018, and she's pitiful in the sums of money. If you want to stop it, learn to what Donald Trump is doing, and if not, just carry on doing what you're doing, and we'll still get thousands more.
Right, because in America, I don't hear anybody complaining about the amount of money that Trump is spending to get rid of these people, because they're clearly undesirable, they're clearly criminal, many of them, and they simply shouldn't be in America. They came illegally, and they should be deported straight away out of the place. I mean, we saw Greta Thunberg getting deported from Israel yesterday. You know, she was there a matter of hours. It was delicious to watch her being put on a plane and having to have a massive carbon footprint in economy as she was flown out. But, I mean, that's how you do it, isn't it? You don't wait for sort of 7 months or 8 months or 10 months or 10 years to get people out of the country when they've come here illegally. You just get them out straight away.
Well, that's what most people expect. If you're illegal, you go away. But we do seem to have a government. Let's be fair, Mike, on this. I'm not simply just blaming the Labour government here. The Conservative government were exactly the same.
They were.
You seem to enjoy the idea of criminality. You seem to think that crime pays and everything about it is okay, because we're going to allow people smugglers, who we now know have made over £1 billion since 2018 on their illegal profits, but we won't stop the borders. And we're going to allow people who are criminals to get out of prison early if they get a sentence at all. So rather than deal with what most people want, the ordinary common man says, if we've got a criminal, deal with them. And if they're a criminal across the borders and coming in illegally, deport them. This government and the one before just have no clue, don't want to do it. And the question we always have to ask them is, fundamentally, why will you not deal with criminals properly?
Yeah, exactly right. Because you know as well as I do, Stephen, and so do most of the people listening to this show, they understand that when Angela Rayner says, for example, I'm going to spend £39 billion on some new social housing projects for this country, one, the money is going to go to a load of commercial companies who should be building the houses anyway without any subsidy from the government. But two, who's going to get those houses, right? We see a story in the Telegraph today where nearly half of all social housing in London, 48%, and this is a figure, by the way, from 2021, so it's probably on the low side, it's probably now above 50%, is occupied by foreign-born heads of household, which means that not only are we not deporting people who come to this country, whether legally or illegally, but we're actually giving them housing.
Yeah, absolutely, and I find that particularly disgusting. I'm one of those lucky people from the 80s who had to wait 5 or 6 years at the age of, when I was 5 or 6 myself, actually, didn't get our first council home until we were 11, when my mum, who was a single parent mother with 2 children, had to wait years to get it. Now, I'm lucky. I went on, I won the scholarships, became a lawyer, got out. But there are still 250,000 people born in this country, living in similar circumstances to I did, in bedsits, who don't have the access to social housing. And it's wrong, absolutely wrong, that we give houses to people who are foreign-born citizens, particularly if they've come over it and got it because of indefinite leave to remain, and then because they're come across as an illegal migrant, and then able to claim their families to come across as well. There is a priority. The priority in housing, and particularly social housing, should be people born in this country. And when you talk about those numbers, Mike, that you're right, 48% in all those years ago. But I've read research recently that puts areas, some parts of Ealing, 75% of social housing is down to people who are not born in this country. And that is wrong. It's against the principles of British fairness, equality, and looking after the poor who are born in this country, which is what social housing was about.
And there's nothing wrong with saying it either. You know, there are still those people in this country who are kind of, you know, shy away from it, who think it might be a bit racist, who think it might be a bit sort of, you know, discriminatory against people from other countries. Well, yeah, I think we should be discriminating against people from other countries because people in this country deserve to be at the top of the list, and they're not. Unfortunately, the people who are from this country have to take a sort of a seat and wait for their turn behind lots of people who shouldn't be here.
And that's right. And I think whenever somebody turns around and now says it's all about race, colour or religion, that's absolutely nonsense, because there's enough people born in this country now who are like myself, either mixed race. There's someone who's black, Muslim, Asian, whatever the colour that they are, because of the way that our nation has been, and they're born here. And many of them, like myself, are very fundamentally supporting of our nation, our flag, our institutions, our culture and our history. And they deserve that right to be able to have a home here before somebody else. Now, we've never had a principle in this country, sadly, that really fundamentally said British-born should get the priority in housing, and the Race Relations Act in 1969 removed any particular opportunity for that to occur. But all right and principled people, in my view, should accept the principle that those born in this country should have the primary right. If they're poor and unable to be able to look after themselves, they should come before those people who have come from a different country. And I don't think it's wrong to say that.
No, of course it's not wrong to say that. And we should continue to say it, and we should continue to press for it to be changed, because you know very well, Stephen, as well as I do, that, as I say, Angela Rayner's housing plan is going to give priority to people who they will call vulnerable because they've come from another place.
Well, that's right. The principles of the rules of the Housing Act and various other pieces of legislation change the way that the benefit system works to those of people they regard in need. And of course, if you come from abroad, you're on a boat and you arrive here without your mum, your dad, your family, and then you claim for them to come in, which is able to do so now under our discretionary claims for asylum, and you bring over a family of 6 or 7 from Afghanistan or Iran or Iraq or Somalia, you've now got a family in need. And you will go ahead of a man who's been divorced from his family in his mid-40s or 50s, who might have to look after his children, but he will no longer be regarded at need. He'll be at the bottom of the ladder compared to someone who's come over, despite the fact he may well have paid taxes all his life. And therefore, that is why there is an anger in this country about how we distribute the limited amount of social housing that we have.
Well, at least there's one piece of good news this morning, Stephen, and that is that, you know, Keir Starmer has managed to reduce the income tax bill for some people. Unfortunately, those people all live in Mauritius because apparently, thanks to the Chagos Islands deal, Mauritians are now told that 81% of them will never have to pay income tax because they've made such a lot of money out of the deal that they got from this country. It's hard to believe, isn't it? You couldn't make this stuff up.
Oh, I just get so... You try not to be angry, don't you?
You do.
You try to level yourself and just go, hey, I know there's madness out there in the world, but when you're seeing Mauritians now not paying tax, when you see a government trying to fund the Ukraine to 100 billion, or try and spend more money on weapons, or not stop the borders, and then you increase wages to people like the train drivers to 75,000, which is in the top 6 or 7% income earners of this country. And ordinary citizens are being left behind and ignored or having to pay more. You just think there's a sense of madness out there. And why are these individuals in charge who lack common sense and the ability to understand looking after your own is far more important than looking after the big international corporations and those of your mates who are international lawyers?
Yeah, it's absolutely unbelievable. Stephen, we'll try and stay calm. It's not easy, but we'll try and do it. Stephen Wolfe there, Director for the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity.